Okay, so today I'm bringing you along as I go through a very busy workday, and I'll be sharing all the meals and snacks and drinks that I made. It's a great one-day meal plan that you can borrow if you are looking for meals that are big on flavor and reasonably nutritious, yet still simple enough to get on the table in about 20 minutes. Like most days, my morning started with a mug of my Indian spice tea. This ritual has been part of my life for many years at this point, and it is, for me, the best way to wake up. Cumin, coriander, and fennel help with digestive health, and fenugreek has been shown to manage blood sugar. But honestly, I like it because it makes me feel good and more Indian, and it's a nice way to ease into the morning. Another benefit is that this has become a keystone habit for me. When the tea is ready, that's my cue to start journaling. I don't have a long or specific practice, but I do like to map out my top priorities for the day, and that way I can get any lingering to-dos out of my head and onto paper. About an hour later, I made my usual morning matcha. It's not that I don't like coffee, I do, it's delicious, but the caffeine makes me feel a little antsy. With green tea, however, I feel like I have a calm, steady energy. Very zen. This morning's immediate priority was to make a PDF guide to accompany a YouTube video I'm doing on how to mini meal prep a few ingredients to make your weeknight meals easier, and I believe this video will be on the channel by the time you see this one. I was trying to refill my spices off camera. Didn't go so well.
This is not what I need on a busy day. It's a trail of fennel seeds.
Around 8 a.m., Max and I headed out for a walk, which is non-negotiable for me, even on busy days, since getting sunlight early in the day is such a great energy and mood booster. Oh, hey, look, it's me! My cookbook officially comes out on September 3rd, and I'm doing an event at my favorite local bookstore, so if you're in San Diego, please come through and say hello. I'll leave the details in the description box below. We're out of bread at home, which is a situation that can't go on for very long. So we stopped at our local bakery to pick up the best sourdough in San Diego, and we got a loaf of our usual.
Can I get a seeded whole wheat sourdough loaf, please?
Yeah. The goods have been secured. I started to get hungry around 9 a.m. and decided on avocado toast, but a higher protein version. This is a meal I turn to pretty frequently when I need something quick and satiating. I had this beautiful, perfectly ripe avocado, and I hit it with some lemon juice, a bit of salt, and Aleppo pepper, which is my go-to all-purpose chili flake, and gave it a quick mash. Oh, almost forgot, protein boost number 1, some hemp seeds. They kind of melt right into the avocado, which is nice. And then I spread this on a nice big slice of the whole wheat sourdough I picked up earlier. Now for protein source number 2, I grabbed some leftover lentils I cooked a couple days ago. These are black beluga lentils, but I've done this with green and brown lentils before too if you want to do that. Or you can always buy pre-cooked lentils like the ones from Trader Joe's. This toast will be pretty good, but there is one important problem. This is not the most beautiful dish. I mean, I don't think every dish I eat has to be pretty, but it does make a difference in how excited I am to eat something. So to remedy this toast, I added some arugula and these very cute radish sprouts. Greens do need a little bit of dressing though, so I hit them with a drizzle of my best olive oil and some flaky sea salt. And finally, for some much needed tang, a few pickled radishes. Oftentimes when a dish feels flat, it's because it's lacking acidity, and so one of my go-to remedies is pickled vegetables. They offer this bright, tart kick that instantly perks so many things up, and I love them so much that I actually included a whole chart of quick pickled vegetables in my new cookbook. Look how gorgeous these pickled radishes are. I feel like they make this dish so much more exciting to eat, and they add this nice kind of sharp, tangy bite, so I am very glad I had some hanging out in the fridge.
Pretty sure this fancy avocado toast would cost like $22 at a cafe around here. Not bad for 5 minutes of work.
After breakfast, I finished that meal prep guide and started writing a blog post about the 15 best recipes from Big Vegan Flavor as chosen by my recipe testers. Then I took a break from work to do a different kind of work. Even though working out takes me away from business work, I find that I'm more productive in the long run because I feel healthier and more energized. I know I'm not the first person to come to that conclusion, but it is something that took me a long time to learn, so I thought I'd share it with you. After showering, I hopped on a Zoom call with Joe Yonan, who's the food editor at The Washington Post, for an interview about my new cookbook. Funnily enough, Joe also has a massive vegan cookbook coming out on the same day as mine, so it was very kind of him to interview me, since a lot of people in the same position would not have done that. By the time the call ended, I was hungry for some lunch, so I dug out a couple things from my fridge and freezer and tried to fashion them into something coherent. First up, I got to work on defrosting a bag of edamame. This is one of my go-to proteins when I need something quick, but it does need some flavor, so I briefly marinated it in what might be my favorite condiment of all time, the homemade Chinese chili crisp from my new cookbook. I've talked about this before, but the best way I have found to make weekday meals easier and more flavorful at the same time is to have some flavor boosters and condiments in the fridge. Obviously, you can also just use store-bought chili crisp, but it won't be as good, at least in my opinion. And I also added some tamari. While that marinated, I shredded some red cabbage, which is a vegetable I eat pretty often, and it can be a bit tough, so small pieces are best. I used a mandolin today, but a box grater also works. To help soften it further, I squeezed in some lime juice and a pinch of salt and gave it a massage. As I was making this, I realized this dish needed some more flavor, so I grated 2 fat garlic cloves and added them to a bowl with some sesame seeds, and then I heated up a bit of avocado oil until it was really nice and hot, and then poured it over the garlic and sesame seeds so that the garlic would cook and all the flavors would come out even more. This lovely garlic oil got mixed in with the cabbage slaw, and then I added in the marinated edamame, plus some chopped peanuts for a bit of crunch and cilantro for a fresh herby bite. This was quite good, but it needed a big squeeze of lime juice and a bit more salt. I polished off a good portion of this, but saved the rest for Max since I am a generous and caring and wonderful all-around great girlfriend, and caught up on some work at the same time, editing a thumbnail for that meal prep video, and writing captions for Instagram Reels. Not exactly my favorite task. Around 3 p.m., my sweet tooth came out of hiding, as it is wont to do at this time of day, so I scrounged through the fridge. Before I remembered, I had some leftover pistachio butter from a video I filmed in collaboration with Epicurious and Bon Appetit to promote my new book. This stuff is ridiculously good on its own, and it is even better when stuffed into some medjool dates with a little flaky sea salt. It's sweet, salty, rich, and just so freaking good. I also made myself what I'm gonna call an imitation chai latte. It's just soy milk heated up in the microwave alongside a teaspoon of this excellent chai masala blend from Diaspora Co. I planned to take this to my desk to work, but then I remembered how sticky dates are, so I just played the crossword on my phone and got my phone sticky instead. After a bit more time at the computer, it was time for dinner. I wanted something quick but filling and nutritious, so I opted for the super savory grated tofu from my cookbook with a side of snap peas and rice. Per usual, I used my Instant Pot to cook the rice, and I actually wanted to make brown rice, but Max says it tastes like dirt, so I made white rice since he'll be eating this too. Next, I moved on to the tofu, and this recipe uses super firm tofu, which is very convenient since it doesn't really need to be pressed. Just a quick pat dry will do. And grating the tofu with a box grater is my favorite hack for quickly cooking tofu. If you find any small pieces break off, just slice them up with your knife. And I also prepped a few aromatics, garlic, scallions, and Thai red chilies, all thinly sliced. Before I got cooking, I made a quick sauce using a few pantry staples that I really like from East Asian cooking. If you're not familiar with some of these, I highly recommend seeking them out. They're not that expensive, and they allow you to use minimal ingredients to achieve maximal flavor. I got my large nonstick skillet over medium-high heat, and I let the aromatics get nice and fragrant. It only took about 2 minutes, and then I added in the grated tofu. To get the tofu nice and brown, you actually don't want to flip it very often, just every 2 minutes or so, for a total of 10 to 12 minutes. While that was going, I cooked the sugar snap peas I bought from the farmer's market in a wok over high heat on my actual real stove. I don't use this stove that much in my videos because it's hard to film and it's pretty dark, but I made an exception today so I could multitask and save time. The snap peas were done in just a few minutes, and then I finished them with a drizzle of soy sauce. The tofu was looking beautifully golden brown, so I poured in that sauce, and I have to say, seeing it bubble up is very satisfying. After a minute, I took it off the heat and just finished with some roasted sesame seeds and plated it up with the rice and snap peas. This is such an easy protein, and I regularly eat it for dinner, as well as lunch and even breakfast. As I mentioned, this recipe is from my new cookbook, Big Vegan Flavor, and this is actually the last video before the book comes out very soon. So if you have enjoyed my recipes over the last few years or my videos, I would be so honored and over the moon if you pre-ordered your copy. I've left a link in the description box below. It is a giant book. You're gonna learn so much about vegan cooking in here. I can't wait for you to see it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!